The data is the target of ransomware. That's what's different from viruses, from malware, and scripts that were originally intended to just be an annoyance to the user or perhaps to stop the productivity. The ransomware has evolved into the data is the target because it has the value. And so what we're trying to do is say, protect your file data first. The operating system, the computers, you can always restore them. This is something that is almost disposable. Nobody cares about the fact that your Windows isn't recoverable. Put a new machine in, restore a machine to original operating software, but you can't do that with your file data. So what has been the trend has been to back up your data. So the solution, recently that I've watched in advertising and so forth is back up your data, because if you're hit by ransomware, you could always recover it. So if your data is encrypted, then just restore your data and you can continue operating. The problem there is, as you would find, is data is constantly evolving. Depending upon the number of users and how you are interacting with that data, you have that delta of time between when your backup was done and the time between users using that data and evolving that data to what your last backup time was. So this might be, your backup could be a day old, it could be 4 hours old, it could be 8 hours old. But is that delta of time, that lost time that's not recoverable, what is the impact of that to your business? It's not just the time lost between the backup of the file and when you were hit with ransomware. It's how that data might interact with other systems. So going back to the Excel file example, you may have an Excel file with, let's say, a bunch of account information for clients, and you've got perhaps numbers and values in your Excel file that are updated regularly, every day, let's say. And your backup system may have a file backup that's 24 hours old. That Excel file may interact with your QuickBooks or may interact with other systems that have to read that file data, use it as input or output. And so you have this string of related data events that impact the company that's much greater than just saying, oh, my Excel file's encrypted, or my engineering drawing is encrypted and I can't access it. What happens is the time lost between the backup and the current information is what causes this whole collapse of the system. You now have a series of data connections between files and databases in which it's all out of order. And so what happens in these ransomware attacks that I've seen is that a company will have to get down to a level of granularity that they had no idea they would have to in order to scrub the files and databases and look at every bit of information that has to interact with other systems. And so reestablishing that point in time of the backup to where the company is now is one of the greatest impacts to the company. Not the fact that the file is inaccessible to the user, but that delta of time, that lost business continuity, results in the data no longer communicating in the way that it had, because systems are now not in sync with each other. You may have databases that the backup could be 4 hours old, and you could have files that the backup could be 8 hours old or 2 days old or 1 week old. And so companies have to then go down into that low level and understand how that interaction of data has impacted them and how they can put things back together to what I'm calling this point in time that then says from here forward, this is a new starting point of our company's data, and they're trying to backfill the missing bits of information.